for sure. Maybe like a fire engine? Could work. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to me, and welcome back to you, and welcome back to After One-ish Plays. Except this is going to be after like 10-ish plays. But again, because of who I am, well, we'll get to that later. But here we are, ISS Vanguard. This game, I'm pretty sure I got it near the end of December. It has been hanging out, chilling, waiting for me, being like, hey, what are you playing over there? Why aren't you playing me? What are you playing? Why aren't you playing me? Well, now we're playing it, and I'm going to let you know what I think. So, typically, these videos, how they operate, I do like an after one-ish plays, which usually isn't after one, occasionally after one, but I throw the ish in there because usually I like to play a couple, 3-ish times, 3 to 5 times before I give an after one-ish plays, which I don't know, maybe that's dumb, but it's who I am. I take a while to make decisions about things. Like, I like to play something before I make an initial opinion. And then I play it more to make, and then I hopefully will eventually come back with what I would like to call a full Monty review, which I think I only have one of up at this point because life. But anyway, yeah, so here we are, ISS Vanguard. I think I am officially logged plays. I think I'm at like 13 or 14, right? But as far as gameplay goes, I'm probably in the first 20-ish%, maybe 25%, somewhere in there. So I feel like early on. Alright, so there are going to be some spoilerish things in this video. I will do my best to be like, spoiler alert, but I might get a little overzealous, I might get a little excited, and I might start talking faster than I alert about, in which case I do so apologize, but I will do my best. Again, I'm only like a quarter of the way in, maybe, so you're not going to get any like end game spoiler stuff. If anything, it'll be like a mission-specific thing that like, oh, yeah, I remember when that random dude on the internet was talking about this. What a jerk that he mentioned that. But anyway, here we go. So, ISS Vanguard, what is it? It is a cooperative adventure game. Dice-chucking adventure game. How am I playing it? I am playing it solo only, four-handed. Now, the game suggests, if you're playing solo, to play it 2. So there's 4 different units in the game. There are 4 different sections, they're called. There is science, there's engineering, there's recon, and there's security. Okay? So theoretically, you can play 2 of those if you're playing solo. If you're playing 3, you can play with 3. If you're playing 4, you can play with 4. I kind of read up a little before playing, saying, like, you can play 4. I played Sleeping Gods, where you're managing 9. This is a bit more than that. Like, the 4 characters have more going on than the 9 in Sleeping Gods, so weigh it how you will, but it's doable. Now, we'll get a little bit deeper into that a little bit later, but so essentially how the game works is it's a two-phase game. You have what's called the planetary exploration, and then you have ship management. All right? And so you got your away team, which is up to 4. You can only send 1 of each unit, so you can send 1 from engineering, 1 from science, security, and recon. You couldn't send like 4 science section people out. And so that's your away team, is you pick anywhere from 2 to 4 of those. You take them. There's a landing procedure. You got lander that you're going to load up with supplies. It has different maneuverability. It has different armor built into the lander itself. And then as you're landing, depending on the atmosphere of the planet, things are going to happen to your ship. There's supplies, there's equipment, you might lose stuff, you might get injured, blah, 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 as you land. But you're going to take your 2 to 4 people onto the planet, and then essentially it's going to be exploration with a dice-heavy mechanism going on. So let's look a little bit about what we got going on here. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the game. You start out relatively, I'm not even going to say relatively easy, because you're kind of doing most of what you're doing throughout the game early on, just less of it. I think you start the game where each character has 4 dice, maybe 5, in each, so like each section has 4 or 5 dice. I think currently I'm up to 12. So each of my sections has 12 potential dice that they could be working with. So it's a lot to go. It's a lot, but essentially what they're starting you with, and there's a tutorial, a very basic tutorial, it basically runs you through, set your dice to this, do this initially, and then you kind of get going, and it gives you, it's a pretty good tutorial system, I think. I felt pretty good after the tutorial, like, I feel like I got it. Now, that being said, don't get me wrong, like, I'm running to BGG nearly every play session, just because there's so much stuff happening and so many abilities and the planets are all different, and so like there's so many little things that I'm just like, I just kind of want to make sure I'm on the same page. But realistically, it's just for like real like fringe specific cases that I'm going there, that you could just do whatever you wanted and house rule it if you wanted to. But I like to just go and make sure that my brain is matching up to what like the consensus is. So that is a thing. There's a lot going on, and so like timings and things like that, sometimes there's like questions on that. Like I said, if you just want to be like, I don't care, boom, we're just gonna go, I think you have a pretty good grasp of the game after that tutorial. I wish they did a little bit better with the ship management. They didn't really do a tutorial on that. They did a tutorial on the planet, and then ship management, they kind of give you a little, like, the ship management book itself, let me grab it right here because I have it. It does a pretty good job of, hey, this is what you should be doing. This is, alright, I'm on page 23. Just meant the loading that. So, yeah, sorry, here, there might be little spoilers. So, it does a pretty good job of, like, step 1. Here, I'm going to try and do this. So, like, step 1, install bridge cards, and it tells you exactly what to do. Step 2, generate command and energy pools. Step 3, check your situation. Step 4. So it gives you a pretty good, like, step-by-step, but that very initial one, it's kind of like, hey, maybe you should try this, maybe you should try this, which I kind of wish there was a bit more direction, but that being said, it wasn't, like, terrible. It wasn't like, I don't know what's going on. No, it was fine. It was just, I think I maybe would have liked a little bit more of, so yeah, so you have that, and then it goes into, then it tells you to go to the next thing. So then you're going to your star map. The star map is like, you have a big book of the star systems, and like, the game explains it pretty good, and like, you have to figure out, okay, where am I going next? What am I doing next? How do I get there? What? And it does a pretty good job of walking you through it. And then your ship has different facilities that you can go to using your command tokens. You can kind of pick and choose. Do I want to deal with situations that are arising on the ship? Like, we have a food shortage. We have, you know, like, people are upset. They're, like, missing home, things like that, and you got to kind of deal with that. Or do I go to the barracks, which lets you get more crew? Research laboratory. There's research projects you find throughout the course of the game. You need to get materials, and you need to get different discoveries, which are going to help you unlock research projects, which gives you more things. So, like, production complex is going to let you upgrade your facility. It's going to let you give you more equipment for missions and things like that. So there is a lot going on, and that's one of the two parts. So you have the planetary part, then you have the ship management part. Now, when I say I've played 14 times, that doesn't mean I've played a set of ship management. I want to say how it works is they consider a full game session or full game like a ship management through the planetary phase, and then you get done with the planetary phase and it walks you through like the evac of the planet, and then like boom, okay, here you go, here's the end, and then it gives you an opportunity to a save point. For me, I have one of the gaming tables with the top on it, so I'm just, ISS Vanguard is just living underneath. It just lives down there, and I typically will do a planetary section, and then a ship section, and sometimes they'll be together, sometimes they'll be like, okay, tonight I'm going to do a planet section, it takes longer, sometimes the planet takes shorter, so then I do the ship section with it. So I don't think I have 14 or 13 or 12 full sections of ship plus planet exploration, but I've played a lot of the game. I mean, I've played a good amount of the game, and so this is my thoughts and feelings based on that amount of play. Excuse me. Okay, so planetary exploration. You're going down, you're doing dice checks. So essentially how it works is you have a combination. There's 3 different color dice in the game. There is green, blue, and red. And of course, right now I am running with, I didn't have any blue out. Okay, so we're just going to pull some randos out here. So the dice look like this. They're nice chunky dice, big. They're, I forget, not engraved, but they're like etched or whatever. They're not just like printed on, they're definitely in there. So they have one side that has these 4 little pips in the corner, and that's kind of considered like the main side of the dice. Okay, so it's going to have the most of this symbol. So when you have a pickaxe, it's got 1, 2, 3 of those symbols. Then it has this Vanguard symbol, which is like a wild. It can count as anything. Then it has a little like star symbol, and then it's got this exclamation mark, which is typically bad, but can also just exist. So that's typically how the dice work. Is there's 3 sides with a pip, a 4th side with a Vanguard symbol, a 5th side with this little star symbol, and then a 6th side with an exclamation mark bad thing. And so the checks are going to be, let's say you want to do some, there's a place on the board that lets you, if you roll a pickaxe, you can gain some mineral discoveries. And so you do a dice check where you roll and you end up rolling a pickaxe. If you roll 2 pickaxes, you might get 2 mineral discovery that are called leads. There's like this lead bag that is anywhere from 0 to 3. You need 3 leads in order to collect a discovery. So the more leads you get, the better chance you have of, and they stay on there, so like you can send another person to come over and mine, and then they can add to it. And but regardless, that's kind of what you're doing. You can roll more than just like one die. You can roll as many dice as you want. The problem is your dice pool is limited, and supplies, when you rest, that's one of the actions you can take, you get some of your dice back, but it takes away your supplies that you brought down on your lander. Or you can exert yourself, which means like you're pushing yourself. You can get rid of one of your dice, like completely from that particular mission. You put it back in its little container, and then refresh up to a certain number of dice. So that's essentially the 2 ways that you're getting dice back. So you're making checks, but you can roll as many dice as you want for a check. Every die has at least 1 Vanguard symbol, so theoretically you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a wild, which could be for something that you need potentially on every dice, so if you were trying to do that. Now, there is this little guy here, which is a specialty. It's got the Vanguard symbol, and that has the highest chance of rolling a Vanguard. It's like, kind of like a wild die. The difference is this one has 1, 2, and then a double Vanguard symbol. And then the rest are all... So it's a 50-50 shot that you're going to get something good. It's a 1 in 6 chance that you're going to get something real good, which is double symbol. So if you rolled that double Vanguard symbol plus a pickaxe, you could essentially count that as 3 pickaxes. And there's all different kinds of stuff. There's all different kinds of planets, so there's all different kinds of checks that you're making over the course of the game. Some of the checks will also not be like symbol specific, they'll just be color specific. You need to have a blue and a red die. So you need to roll a blue and a red die. And typically for those, like, it doesn't even matter. You can roll double exclamation mark. Those still count as acceptable for the check or the challenge. But sometimes the exclamation marks will have added negative bonuses that, well, not a bonus, added negative things that happen to you if you roll those particular things. And so that's kind of essentially how the game works. Moving from place to place is going to require different things depending on the planet, the conditions, and how the conditions are on the planet. It's going to be easier or more difficult to move from place to place on the planet. Things are going to pop up. Sometimes you can go one way but can't go back. You have to figure a different way back. And then each planet has like a mission that you're trying to take care of. At least one mission. Sometimes multiple missions. So here, let's take a look at a character here. So this is just an example of a character. Now, characters don't come in a specific unit. They're not specifically assigned to recon or to engineering or anything like that. Essentially, when you recruit crew, you can recruit them and if you're playing with multiple players, it's kind of like a draft system. Versus if you're playing solo, you just kind of be like, I think that guy's good here, this guy is good here, she's good over here. But they have a couple different things with them. So remember we talked about that little star symbol on the dice. This guy, you'll see here, is essentially, I don't know if you can see, his blue stars count as pickaxes. So this counts as a pickaxe for this particular guy. Whereas this guy here, his blue star symbols count as a computer. So the different characters, and sometimes it's a green die, will count as a science. A red die will count as a pickaxe. So, or a wrench. They're all different. All the colors are different. The symbols are different. And there's a whole bunch of different symbols that are possible that they're looking for. So you can there's a way of like scouting the planet beforehand. So it might say like, oh, this planet, you'd be beneficial if you had some people who had this particular skill in mining or something like that, and then you can kind of plan your away team based on that. So it's kind of a give and take sort of situation. But so they have this little thing up here. Everybody has one of these. We'll talk about the personnel files, which adjusts this a little bit in a little. And then everyone also has a ability down at the bottom. Now the abilities are random on the cards, but there isn't. I don't remember how many crew there. I think there's 90 possible crew that you can have, and there's not 90 different abilities. There's probably 30 or 30-ish, maybe. So some of them have the same or very similar, like just slightly, like the color of the die is different or things like that. So there's a lot of different abilities. So like this guy, he has the loader ability. At any time, you can spend one charge. This is how many charges he gets. So he has 2 charges. You can earn charges over the course of the game too. So there is certain ways that you can increase that number during a planetary explanation. But at any time, you can spend one of your charges to take a chosen small or personal equipment card from the armory. It's a pretty good ability because you can only take a certain amount of equipment with you on a mission. This guy lets you just pull a mission out of the armory, which is kind of like, not out of the game, but it's nowhere near you, but it lets you be like, ooh, we have a specific thing we need. This guy can be like, oh, we have an item back on Vanguard that can do that. Let me figure out how to get that, and then spend a charge, and he can do that. So everyone has an ability on them that can do something. Like, it's either dice manipulation, it's event manipulation, it's all kinds of different things. It might be good at discovering, they might be good at all kinds of different things that are happening in the game. There's different characters that are good at different stuff. So that's really cool, kind of shaping your crew and, you know, putting a team together that really synergizes well. Like, okay, you two are going to team up over here, you're going to go over here. Alright, so that's planetary exploration. Let me talk a little about my thoughts on the difficulty of the game. Now, like I said, I play four-handed. I don't know this for certain, but it seems pretty darn steep as far as difficulty curve. I was trying to figure out in my brain, like, if I played 2 players versus 4 players, realistically, what you're doing and what your mission is doesn't seem to be dependent on player count or crew count, your away team's count. So if you send 2 people to a planet, and you send 4 people to a planet, and let's just say, very easy, you have to get 3 you have to find 3 discoveries on this planet somehow, okay, by exploring. So let's just say each crew member has 5 dice. If you take 2 people down there, that's a pool of 10 dice. If you take 4 people, that's a pool of 20 dice. You have twice as many options and or abilities and essentially time and things that you can do. So it just seems so much, I don't want to say easier, but easier with the higher player count. I was doing some like kind of research and like just kind of getting a feel for it, because I'm like, I don't understand how like playing at 2, because when I play an adventure game, I like to explore, I like to see what's going on, I like to figure everything out. If you're playing at 2, I feel like you need to be like, here's our mission, this is what we're doing. We can't go exploring, we can't go off looking around. When you play with 4, you can kind of make 2 teams of 2, travel around together, because when you're with another person on a spot, on a particular place on the planet, they can assist you on your checks. So they can add a die in, they can add a card in. There's these section cards which give you different abilities. So like during a dice check, you can move any one of your good die from the roll pool and to turn one of the other die into a particular symbol. So they can help you with these cards if they have them. So having the 2 people being able to travel, and you can get twice as much done because you can split up and send 2 teams of 2 around the planet. Whereas if you're playing with 2, you either have to travel together all around the planet, or you have to go 1 and 1, and then the checks are a lot more difficult because obviously you don't have somebody there that's helping you and able to manipulate. Like there's certain cards that be like, okay, here you go. This one lets you re-roll a green die. So if you're making a green die check and someone's in your space with you and they have this, you can re-roll a green die. If you don't have any cards that let you re-roll, then that's what it is, and good luck. So it just seems like playing with 4 gives a pretty significant advantage. Now, I'm okay with that because, like I said, I just like to experience the adventure. I like to just play, run around. I like to check out the whole planet, see what's going on, see how far I can delve without, like, before pushing it too much. Then you come back to the ship, and then you have part 2, the ship management, which is fantastic because that's where you get to recruit new people for your crews. You get to have there's research projects going on, so you use these little symbols. There might be like the computer symbols, so you can use extra crew that you have to speed up your production. You can you can do extra research and things like that based on your extra crew that you have. And so those things, it just seems like a higher player count is beneficial pretty much I can't see like a negative to it. I can only see positive. Now, like I said, it's manageable. However, I'm now running like 11, 12 dice in each section. That's 44 to 48 dice that I'm having to keep track of. And you can assist. So if you're together and like you're trying to keep it, it's a big sprawl, but you're trying to keep it, I don't know if yeah. So I'll this might not work at all, but I'm going to try and like, so here's my setup-ish, kind of. So you kind of see, I have it, so I'm playing from one side, like I'm not constantly walking around the table. So you're kind of condensed, and you're like, okay, this guy's with this person is with this girl over here, and so I want to assist with this, so I'm going to roll this die with this one, and that goes into the spent pool, but these go into this spent pool, but then I'm going to use this card, which brings it, and so, sorry, there's a lot, when you get that many dice going on, there's a lot of things you're like, okay, I got to check myself, make sure I'm really, I'm probably not the most organized. There's probably a better way to do it where you could have like specific places you're rolling, like what do they call those? Roll trays or whatever. I have one, but regardless, you have to keep the dice separate because they have to go back to their own particular section. So you can't just, when you make a roll pool, just roll them all together because they're like, oh wait, which one was supposed to go with that? So it's getting to be a lot. It's manageable. It is 100% manageable. But when you start getting more dice, you start getting a little like, there's times where I'm like, that was for that. And then you have to remember to immediately do it because if you're like, oh wait, I'm making a check now with this person, but then then you have the hand of cards, so you have 4 hands of cards, you have 4 discard piles in a small contained area with a whole bunch of dice. And so it's manageable, but it's a lot, and but it's okay. Like, I'm enjoying it. What was my point here? I don't remember, but I think my point was I enjoy the exploration part of things. I love checking everything out. So playing with 2, I don't think would be as enjoyable for me because I'd be like, man, I flippin' missed like 3 things that I want to do on that planet, and I could go back to that planet again, usually, and then go do the other things on that planet, but then you're like essentially doubling the amount of play time that you're doing. I know you get another ship phase, but you're adding a lot more time that I'd rather just be exploring. Now, so the other thing, and this is a minor spoiler, so beep 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 boop beep boop 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 beep boop boop spoiler. Very early on in the game, you get energy, which you can spend on things, and then you get command tokens, which lets you do different things on the ship. The energy lets you scout the new planet that you're going to land on. It lets you do different things in the system that you're in. Very early on, one of the things that you were able to do was you could spend energy to increase your morale. If you increase your morale early on in the game, I think you start at medium, and that puts you at high morale, which gives you an extra command token all the time, like during every ship phase. That is huge, and I think I did that right away. I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna just do this because I want to. I kind of want an extra command token. It's like, what happens if I raise my morale? Oh, I get an extra command token? It seems good. Or I could use that energy to scout the planet. I'll wing it. I'll wing it on the planet, and I'm going to do this extra command token thing. it is invaluable. Unless you want the game more difficult. I think very early on that tilted the game extremely in my favor. You're able to get more equipment, you're able to get more research, you're able to get more production, you're able to get more of everything, more people that let you help to do all those things. And so I think that kind of catapulted me ahead of the curve. And I'm okay with that, because I am not the type of person that needs extreme hardcore gaming. I think there is a hardcore or some difficulty mode in this game that you can activate at any point in the game. I haven't done it because I've been fine. I just like having fun. I just like going to planets. I like upgrading my stuff. I like the story. I like exploring and like the story. I'm learning things all the time. Like, there's stuff going on. There's bad things that are happening. It's just a lot. It's a lot going on, and it's a lot of stuff that I enjoy. I really, really like it. I'm a half hour into this video, and here we are. I really, really enjoy my time with this game. I am playing it every night that I can, and sometimes if I can possibly manage it, I can get some time during the day to myself to play, and like, I am having so much fun. I'm having so much fun on the planet stuff. I'm having so much fun with the ship stuff. I know a lot of people say like the ship stuff is where it's at, and it's pretty close. I think I like managing that ship stuff. I do like that a lot. But I really like the planet stuff too, and trying to figure things out. Then you get more equipment for your people, and you're like, oh, cool, my guy's got like a minor spoiler. My guy's got like a speeder bike now, so he can just like zoom to different locations without having to worry about all the like hazards and stuff. And like, oh man, it's just so much fun. And part of it is, like I said, I don't need my exploration fun games to be extremely difficult. I have lost people. There is very, very rarely that I go through a mission where my people aren't injured in some way, you know, like, and then you have different goals that you're working for on each planet, and if you hit a certain goal, your characters will rank up, which lets you get better cards. It lets you get access to more things, which is cool. It's fun. That's another thing with 2 players. There's things called, what are they called? They're not level up tokens, but there's some like they're a token that essentially lets you get more dice. So like I said, you start with 5, and then you can acquire more over the course of the game by spending these tokens that you earn on planets. And if you only playing with 2, you get half the opportunity to earn these tokens, so you're not gonna get. I can buy dice pretty much every time. I'm starting to get to the point where it's not really necessarily true, but early on, like, it was very easily every time. Sometimes I was really close to being able to buy 2 dice for each section, which is awesome. But if I'm playing with 2, like, that's not a thing. Like, it's... And I'm guessing, like, ranking up is a lot more difficult when you're playing with 2. So I just like playing with 4 because I feel like I'm able to do more things and experience more things and enjoy more things. And so for me, that's why 4 works. If you want... I bet you could... If you wanted to make it more difficult, probably playing at 2 or 3 solo would probably make things more difficult. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just, the math doesn't seem to add up. Because as far as I can tell, there's no real scaling as far as like, oh, if you're playing with 2 players, you need this check. Whereas if you're playing with 4 players, you need this check. No, it's just like, you need this check. That's it. That's what you need to do. Whether you have 2 players or 4 players, that's what you need to do. There might be some things that are player-specific, I don't really remember, but I don't think, if there's any, it's extremely rare. So, for me, running around, having fun. Oh, I enjoy it so much. It's constantly going on in my head. Ooh, I wonder what's going next. Now, this is gonna be a fairly spoilerific section right here. So, just a warning on that. There is a point, a little chunk into the game. I would say probably it was like my ninth session of play. So maybe like after 4 or 5 or 6 planets, a big thing happens. Like a big. It can also trigger at different. Like you trigger it by doing a certain thing. So this trigger could be earlier for some people. I don't think it could be earlier for some people. I think I hit it as early as humanly possible. Maybe not, but pretty darn close. But you could potentially run around and do some other stuff and then do this, in which case it would come up later in your game. But essentially the bad guys of the game attack ISS Vanguard, which is your big giant space station, right? And it's a mess. It's crazy. Like they're invading your planet board that you normally play on turns into the ship, and you have to move around the ship. I was going through this, and I almost immediately went to BGG to look up, like, are we, like, just checking here, just doing a little check-in, just seeing what's going on. And there were people where this pretty much shut down their game. They were like, I'm done. Like, it's no fun anymore. And there's people who were like, yeah, it was difficult, it was annoying, it was hard, but like, you know, it happened and let's keep moving forward. Like, we're gonna keep going. So basically these bad guys take over your ship. And here is where I agree with some of the negativity on this particular situation. So, essentially in the game, I talked about these little symbols that you have, like your computers, your pickaxes. These symbols on people's cards can factor into a lot of different things. Not necessarily just your blue dice are computers. They factor in for researching and for speeding up your production of your projects. And then in this particular situation, they factored in to defense of the ISS Vanguard. So, a situation would arise as you're kind of trying to deal with everything that's going on, and it's like, okay, a fire broke out in the lab. You need to pick some crew to go and deal with it. So you have a resting, your set of crew that you're not currently using is called your resting crew. So you take all of them out, and then you're like, alright, you need to decide who you're sending to deal with this fire in the lab. Go. And you're like, all right. Okay. So who do I send? Do I send people from science? Do I send people from engineering? Do I send people with like more science-based skills? Do I send people with more like defense or strength-based skills? And it was it was like you didn't get a ton of direction. And then you would send them, and if you sent the wrong people or not enough people, they're just dead. That's it. They're gone. They're dead. Doesn't matter. So you could potentially send some high-level people that you've been working the game and ranking up. You send them, you happen to send the wrong people, they're just dead. Now, let's just say, hypothetically, you were like, oh, there's a place being overrun. They sent in an extra force into this area. We have to go deal with it. Okay, that seems like very clearly I need some defense, I need some like strength and some defending, so I send that. And it happens to be the right combination of symbols that I sent and the right rank of people. Cool. We did it. We defeated it. Easy peasy. Boom. Way to go, team. Now, everyone you sent there has to make a random dice check and could potentially die anyway. That, I think, was the mistake that they made. I'm surprised that got past the playtesting. I understand adversity in games. I understand adversity in adventure games. But that clearly, because people came, clearly that can really impact. If you have some bad rolls and some bad, yes, cool, I sent the right people, but I got 3 bad rolls and 3 of my top people are now dead. There's no oh, they get into critically wounded and you need to take... Nope. That's it. They're done. And so I don't know how you could have done it. Maybe if it was if you succeeded and sent the right people in the right rank of people, blah blah blah, whatever, if you succeeded, all your people survive, but maybe there's injuries or something, or maybe you lose the lowest ranked person that went there, or something like that. That might have been able to lessen the impact that some people had. I managed to come out of it okay. Not great, obviously, but okay. I lost a decent amount of some lower people, some medium people. I didn't lose any of my high-ranking people, which was good. And I do hear what people said about the complaints on it, but at the same time, I think it was an interesting story moment. I think it was cool. I think it was oh my god, we gotta deal with, we're being invaded. And so then this happens, and then now, all the stuff you've worked on, your ship is in shambles. You're we gotta get to, the nearest habitable planet because we're messed up. This thing can barely fly. We need to, find somewhere to just chill and get things back to normal. And so that's what, the next set of missions is doing, is trying to do that. And that's interesting. And you come back pretty quick. But again, I think this is where potentially, if you don't have high morale, I feel like high morale is almost essential in the game. If you want to play it for funsies, if you want to play it difficult, more difficult, that's obviously not essential. But having high morale and 4 people, sending 4 people on planetary expeditions, I think is how you can turn on the game's easy mode, quote unquote. Because that is essentially, I'm in a very comfortable spot. Extremely comfortable. So I got hit by this random attack and came out of it, lost some people, ship got roughed up. It was oh man, all your stuff gets put back down to baseline. You're oh my god, your situations are not good, and you have less command, and it's not good. But it turns around real quick. And like I said, having these other things and knowing about my morale, there's certain things where it's oh, you can choose to do this, which will lower your morale, or you can do this, which will do this other bad thing. I almost always pick this other bad thing because having that extra morale just seems to be too good. And so maybe at some point I'll let it drop just for giggles, to see how that plays out. But having high morale lets you do more things during the ship management, which is one of the things I really like. So it's yes, I can do all the things that I want during ship management because I have extra stuff. Whereas if I didn't have that, it would make the game more difficult, but it also would make the game less fun because I wouldn't be able to do as much stuff during the ship management phase, which is not what I'm here for, but one of the great things that I'm here for. So, yeah, so having this already built up, having been playing with 4 players, been playing with high morale, I was in a pretty darn comfortable spot. So I got knocked down from, let's say, like, I was at like a 9-ish spot in comfortability. I got knocked down to like a 6, 5.5 or 6, and then almost immediately was back up to like 8, the 8 range, after like finding the planet and things like that. So it was a pretty quick turnaround, but it was a punch in the gut. Like, it was like, oh, okay. But they don't keep you there long, which I think is maybe where the saving grace comes from, is they don't, like, have you suffer for 3-4 missions. It's kind of like, okay, you find this planet, and I'm pretty sure it's a directed, like, I'm pretty sure you have to make it to this particular planet. I'm not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure, like, that's where you're going, right there. And it's kind of a more chill planet, and it's interesting. It's all interesting, but short story, really long. I really, 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 really like the game. I think about it all day. I play it every single night that I can because I just enjoy everything about it. Is it a perfect game? No. There's random. There's dice chucking. There's confusing things. There's stuff, but, like, it is so much fun. I have so much fun. I come downstairs, it's all set up, I smile, I'm happy, I'm ready to go. Usually I either end at where I'm just about to start a planet, so I'll come down and be like, oh yeah, I get to explore this planet. Or I end right after a planet, so I'm like, oh yeah, I get to work on my ship now and work on all my stuff. So, like, whenever I always end at a good spot where I come down and I'm like, oh, yes, here's what we're doing. Yes, let's go. I'm excited. And it's just so much fun, and I enjoy it. I'm probably at like a 9 on this game. I just think it's so much fun. If you see, and here's the thing. I think there's ways of making the game more difficult if you want to. I do think that. But if you want a fun exploration, I equate it kind of to Sleeping Gods. Sleeping Gods is one of my best gaming experiences ever. Just the open, go do whatever you want. This is slightly more on rails, but not really, but kind of. It's just so good. If you liked Sleeping Gods, I feel like, granted, if you don't like Space Theme, then obviously I don't know why you're here at 47 minutes in, but hey, thanks. But if you don't like Space Theme, then the game isn't good enough with what it does to negate the fact that it's a space theme. But if you're good with space themes and you're good with this, like, adventure and exploration, this game is real good. It's real good and it's real fun. It is, most of the game is in your dice checks. Okay? That's most of the game. So if that's not something you like, you're not gonna like the game. Dice checks, using cards for dice mitigation. The different cards have different abilities. So, like, like if you do have a certain combination of dice that match up, you get a little extra ability, and it's just really good. Now, I did get the personnel files, which I think adds to the game. It wasn't that much. It's called personnel files. It's basically a little more. Each one gives you a little backstory on the person. It gives you their personnel file, and it gives you a little paragraph about who they are. Personnel files, it gives you a little more in depth into their personnel file, and then it gives you a mission, or it gives you an objective for them to complete. And if you complete said objective, so let's say here, this person here, okay? So if you, during your turn, every time you gain any strange flora or live specimen leads, so we're talking about discoveries, you need to get these leads, you progress the track. So you have to get a certain number of type of leads. Once you get 7 of those, boom, she's upgraded. I think they're called veterans, and they get their veteran status. And essentially what it does, the only thing that it does, it gives you more story. So you have your little starting story. Then you get an initial little extra story. Then when you complete the objective, you get more story. So it gives you, it's just more learning about your people, learning about your crew. But then it also gives you an extra ability. So you'll see now up here you have 2 different dice that have 2 different symbols. Now the dice could be the same color with different symbols. They could be different colors with different symbols, like this one here. But it just gives you a little extra something to work for, and it makes you feel a little bit more powerful. So you have this crew that's like, yeah, we're getting better, we're getting stronger, and it's cool. It's just more cool stuff, and I like cool stuff. So yeah, for me, if you like the adventure type games, if you like space theme, if you like adventure, like I am a big fan. If you like dice chucking, because there's a lot of dice chucking in this game, dice chucking with mitigation, that's essentially what the game is, and then the ship management stuff it's just a whole lot of fun. So there we go. That is my ISS Vanguard after 10-ish plays, because I play this game a lot, and it's a lot of fun. I just started playing it. It didn't make it into my March, what I played in March, so I think I started playing it like April 1st or April 2nd. And what are we? We're on the 16th, and I have like 12, 13, 14 plays of it at this point. So I played it almost every day, and sometimes twice a day if I can squeeze it in, but it's often very difficult. But regardless, I really like it. I really love the adventure. If you like adventure, I think it's available-ish out there. I think you can get it through Amazon. I don't know what the cost is, $150. I don't remember what it was on Kickstarter, so that might be way high and not worth your time. I don't know. But for me, I just love it. I just enjoy it. I enjoy every minute I'm playing of it. Maybe not every minute. There's like sometimes where I'm like, with a die roll, that I get frustrated. But this makes the game fun. But I'm also, keep in mind, I'm the type of gamer that just likes to have fun when I'm playing an adventure game. That's what I'm here to play ISS Vanguard for, is to have some fun. Go on some missions, explore some planets, see what's going on. And that's what this game gives me. And I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So, yeah, if you have watched this point, congratulations. Holy fish moly, 53 minutes. You are a hero. You're a hero. And you deserve some points. 47 points. Yeah, is there anything else I want to tell you? I don't think so. It's got this logbook here. This logbook, this is all the story stuff that you're doing and running around. Not really that much. Okay. So theoretically, there's an online log thing that you can do, right? That's apparently good. It's completely voice acted. It's completely everything. Ha! Yeah. Okay. So I have an Android something old. I don't know. I have an Android tablet that's like functional, and I put the app on both of those, and it's not compatible with them. I have an iPad, but its storage is full of kids' things and wife's things, and I play in the evening when my wife is using the iPad, so like I don't have it. Might work on my iPad, but that's a little frustrating. And apparently this was a thing they did like an update early on, and it basically stopped working for all or like certain Android devices, and they were just like, sorry, okay, bye. and like went radio silent and just never even attempted to fix it or do anything with it. So that's kind of annoying, and mildly frustrating, because I've heard it's very good. I don't remember exactly if it like tracks your data or things like that. I don't know that for certain. But that being said, it's a little frustrating that that I can't use that. I can't do it. And so that's annoying. But for the most part, that's probably the biggest negative I have to say, is I can't use their app because it's not doesn't access their servers from my Android devices. So but anyway, jeez, I just talk. That's what I do. Anyway, I love you. Have fun out there. Play games. Keep on keeping on. Do your thing. Be cool. Be friendly. Give hugs to people. And I will catch you later. Bye.